Hey, what's up YouTube, it's Azure Option here, coming out with a deck profile for the Cyber Dragon Galaxy deck, which I've been uploading dual videos of recently. I'm pretty much just going to rush through the deck, and if there are any choices which don't look normal, I'll quickly explain them. So 3 Cyber Dragons and 3 Cyber Dragon Cores is pretty much staple. 3 Cyber Dragon Dre, I was testing this at 1, 2 and 3, and I like it at 3. If you want to play Economically Golden Jet, I recommend cutting 1 or 2 of these to play that card, but otherwise just play 3. One Electromagnetic Turtle is really good. If you want to just use Repair Plant to search any machine to dump for Galaxy Soldier, this is probably one of the best targets other than Cyber Dragon Core to go for. 2 Denko Sekka is extremely effective against decks that like to sell a lot of back row. What I like to do is special summon Cyber Dragon first, or use Core to special summon Cyber Dragon. Most of the time your opponent won't have a response for this because it's just a Cyber Dragon. They're probably not going to bonus or flip anything on it. So that really gives a green light to summon Denko Sekka after, pretty much just go in. 3 Galaxy Soldier is pretty much staple for this variant. It's what opens up the XYZ toolbox. 2 Galaxy Wizards. I know a lot of people don't like playing this, but I like playing it because it searches Galaxy Soldier and also searches Galaxy Cyclone. Another important thing is that Galaxy Wizard works onto Skill Drain and Vanities and cards like which are pretty much, they're pretty much just floodgates that just stop you from playing completely, and if you don't have it out, you pretty much just lose. So it's really important that Galaxy Wizard works under those and searches out your answers. So that's why I play Galaxy Wizard, and it just makes the deck a bit more consistent, even though sometimes opening up with too many normal summonable monsters gets a bit too cloggy, but most of the time you could correct it with one Galaxy Soldier and just dump the cards which you normal summon like Dre and Core. 1 Honest, because Honest isn't that good in this variant. I still like it for OTK pushes and get over with your annoying cards, but I'd only play 1. 2 Yuki Saki. It's pretty much between this card and Effect Veiler, and this card is just simply more effective, especially against Cleaforts. Effect Veiler is pretty much useless against Cleaforts except for when they summon Disc. Yuki Sagi is pretty much effective against the whole deck. It stops that really annoying Scout, especially if your opponent goes minus and uses Sacrifice and Storm and stuff like that, all in order to get to Scout, and then you just Yuki Usagi on the first turn. It's really good. 2 Mathematicians. I really like Mathematician because it makes the deck a lot more consistent. It is an extra normal summon, but what it offers is just so much more. It's basically just so much that I think it's worth it, especially if you open up with the Mathematician and Repair Plant. You can pretty much dump Core, and then when Mathematician dies, you get to draw, and then you can use Repair Plant to search out Dre, banish Core to special summon another Core, normal summon Dre, and pretty much go into Nova and Infinity. So I really like Mathematician, and it also dumps Electromagnetic Turtle, which is really important in the Dark Battle Ruler matchup because they can OTK really quickly, and you want your opponent to put all of their resources on the board and then pretty much just go in from there. So yeah, I really like Mathematician, and it's really consistent with 3 Cyber Repair Plants. 1 Back C, this card's pretty much just a filler. A lot of decks special summon like Murmur or Dark Battle Rulers, also in the middle match is quite effective. And it saves space in the the side deck, because I would probably side 2 Back C, but if I'm main decking 1, I only need to side the extra one, so that's pretty much why I main deck 1. 3 Cyber Repair Plants. I would not recommend playing 3 if you're not playing Mathematician. Even with 3 Cyber Dragons, 3 Cyber Dragon Cores and 3 Dre's, it's not consistent enough. Especially in a match format. If you're playing singles, then maybe, because you probably won't be subject to variance as much. Actually you probably would be subject to variance more, but it would probably be, what I'm trying to say is basically you could probably get away with it in a singles game, but over the course of a match you're going to brick a lot more, or rather your chances of opening a game and bricking is a lot higher. So you basically just want to make sure your deck is as consistent as possible whilst still being able to run. So I'd only play 2 if you're not playing Mathematician. If you are playing Mathematician, then play 3, and it's really consistent, and it also means that you don't need to play as many light machines, because this basically is a light machine. It pretty much just replaces itself with 1. 1 Foolish Burial, obviously to dump the Core, and also to dump Electromagnetic Turtle. 2 Instant Fusions. obviously because when you go first, instant fusion is quite effective, rather than having to special summon Soldier twice, which is pretty much mindless. You can just use an instant fusion and you still get to retain your advantage, especially if you dump to Cyber Dragon with Soldier. And also a very important reason why I'm playing this card is because one, it baits out Vanity's emptiness, and two, Panzer Dragon can get around skill drain. So if you activate this and your opponent has a skill drain on the field during the end phase, you can just pop it with Panzer Dragon. So instant fusion is pretty much like another MST in that case, and skill drain and vanities are pretty much the floodgates which we care about. Mistake isn't really too bad. Most of the time, if we've got a combo which gets us to infinity, we don't really care about mistake because it just makes it harder for our opponent to get around infinity, if that's the case. One, overload fusion. The deck doesn't really rely on fusions as much, it's mostly XYZs, so pretty much just one overload instead for pretty much what it's good for. It makes Rampage is pretty nuts, but again, this build is more about consistency, and this is the type of build which you can take to a match or a big tournament, and you can probably, go quite a few matches without just completely bricking. Whilst with normal cybers, you're going to brick at least once every match. So I like one overload fusion because of this. It's still a really good card. It's pretty much like Miracle Fusion but for cybers, so I still pretty much run it. 3 Galaxy Cyclone. You probably noticed that I've just played 3 Galaxy Cyclone. I'm not playing MSTs, Lancers and Night Beams and stuff like that. That's one advantage of having searchable back row removal, and I'm also playing the 2 Denko Segas. So in a lot of builds they're running, as I said before, the Lancers, the MSTs, the Night Beams and stuff like that. The problem with that is that when you open up with too many of those, it's really bad, and also if you play against a deck which doesn't play much back row like Murmurs or Light Sword or something like that, it's really bad. You really don't want to open up with it. I mean, you can make an argument for Lance and Infinity being sort of like Dalker and Lager and Forbidden Lance. It makes it really difficult to remove from the field, but I still prefer to just play 3 Galaxy Cyclone. It being searchable with Galaxy Wizard, even under skill drain, it pretty much just makes it a win for me. I've had really good results with it, so I can't advocate playing this enough. Let me move this back here. 1 Raigeki, 1 Snatch Steal were pretty much staples. Raigeki helps you OTK, Snatch Steal also helps you OTK and gets rid of really pesky monsters. 2 Mind Crush, because I'm playing in the TCG OCG format, and in this format you get a whole bunch of Dark Matter Rulers, Mirror Matches, and also Murmurs, and Mind Crush is good against all of those decks. It's only really not very good against Yang Zing because they don't actually search, unless they play that new Zephyr field card, but other than that they don't search. So I just side out against them, but this deck has a relatively good Yang Zing matchup already, so it's not too bad. 1 Bombless, 1 Vanities and 1 Venus Chain. Bombless and Venus Chain speak for themselves. I'm not playing more than 1 Vanities, and yes, I do know that Infinity plus Vanities is really good, especially if you haven't played these on the field, but playing more than 1 Vanities and playing too many traps means that you open up with less of your cards which are required for your XYZ plays and combos. So I only really like playing 1 Vanities, and if you draw it then that's good. If you don't, then you still have other plays to do. For the extra deck, 1 Fortress Dragon is pretty much staple, 1 Rampage for the Overload Fusion, 2 Panzer Dragons for the 2 instant fusions, and also for Cyber Dragon Nova when it's destroyed. Generally that rarely ever happens, but 3 targets for it is pretty safe, because most of the time you won't see your Overload and all of your instant fusions, so it's okay if you summon one of these through Cyber Dragon Nova. Most of the time I will summon Panzer Dragon if it's on my opponent's turn, and if it's on my turn I'll probably go for a Rampage. 1 Stardust Dragon and 1 Hot Red Dragon Archfiends. This card's really important, and I wouldn't recommend taking that out. The reason is because most of the time when you want to go for a level 8 synchro play, you're in a pinch, like you're in a really bad spot if you're actually considering normal summoning Yuki Usagi, and whereas Hot Red Dragon Archfiend is really effective when you're in a pinch because it's pretty much a dark hole. Stardust isn't really so effective. If you could think of a more effective card to play, then by all means play it, but I'd pretty much just have it in here just in case, if you want to go for an Infinity plus a Stardust or something like that. That's also like an option. but by all means take this out if you can think of other cards to play. One can still play these, because we're playing 3 Dre, it means that you pretty much have to go for Nova most of the time, or if you're playing Zenmayo or the Chronomaly rank 5 XYZ, you can play those as well. But because of Dre, you pretty much have to go for Nova or one of those XYZs, meaning that you're going to play these a lot less, so you only really need 1. 2 Infinity, you pretty much only need 2, most of the time you won't need a third. 3 Nova, you will need 3 Nova most of the time, so definitely don't try and play 2 because you will miss it. 1 Gaia Dragon and 1 Volcasaurus. This play is these cards are extremely important against Dark Matter Rulers because Volcasaurus allows you to OTK through the standard field of 2 Draco Sack tokens, a Draco Sack, Red MD and Dark Matter Dragon. You use Volcasaurus to pop Dark Matter Dragon, which is 4,000 damage. You can then use Gaia Dragon to run over one of the Draco Sack tokens, which is 2,600 damage. So that's 6,600 in total, and then you only need to deal 1,400 more to OTK them. Most of the time you can go for a Nova, and if you've got a Cyber Dragon you can banish it. Nova will go up to 4,200, and Red MD just happens to be 2,800, which means that's exactly 1,400, so that's exactly 8,000 damage. So it's extremely vital that you play Volcasaurus and Gaia Dragon, and possibly play 2 Gaia Dragons for that play, because you can also make a second Gaia Dragon and attack over a second token, and that would also be gained. So potentially you can play 2 Gaia Dragons and 1 Volcasaurus, and that would probably be fine. The last card I've got in here is Sky Cavalry Centurion. It looks really random, but there's this card which I'll load up now, and it's Yazi Evil the Yang Xing. I've had this card dropped on me quite a few times. It's bloody annoying to get around because it can't be targeted, and if they use this card over here, Beyond, it can't be destroyed by battle either. So pretty much your only answer to that is to go into your extra deck and summon Sky Cavalry Centurion by banishing a core to special summon another core, then normal summoning another core, and then XYZ into it. I have done it before. It sounds ridiculous, but I have done it, so it's very possible to go into this, and it's not very difficult as well, especially with Mathematicians and other cards which dump core into the graveyard. It's really a good card in general, especially if you just have 2 cores on the field rather than contacting for Chimeratech Fortress Dragon, which pretty much has no effect once it's on the field. So you can at least go into this, which is at least 2,000, and it has an effect and can't be destroyed by battle. And the downside to that obviously is that core won't be in your graveyard immediately, but eventually it will be in your graveyard once you use his effect. For the side deck, 1 Cyber Eltanin. This card is really good for just removing problematic cards from the field. Cards like Midrash and Yazi and other annoying cards. 1 Majesty's Fiend is really effective against decks which rely on monster effects. You can summon it against Dark Matter Rulers, and it will pretty much shut down the entire deck unless they have Snatch Door or something like that. 2 DD Warrior Lady, again effective against cards like Yazi, Midrash, even Ophion if you run into it, it's really good against that. 2 Flying Sea for the Dark Matter Rulers and XYZ decks, 1 Max Sea for Dark Matter Rulers and Mermails, the Mirror Match, and pretty much any deck which just like to spam. I have actually come across Burning Abyss in the TCG OCG format because they have got new cards coming out, so it's effective against them as well. 2 DD Crow is just really good. It's really good against Raid Raptors because they have that card which I forgot its name. Let me see if I can load it up. Yeah, it's this one over here. They banish it from the graveyard to search. Most of the time they end up dumping it with this card, I believe. Anyway, it doesn't really matter which card in particular does it, but I know there's a card which dumps this one and they banish this one to search. You can chain DD Crow and remove this, and it pretty much hinders the deck quite a bit. So I definitely recommend playing DD Crow. It's also really good against Dark Matter Rulers, and I know I keep going on about it, but that deck probably takes over about 30% of the meta in TCG OCG, so it's really important to side for it. 1 Defusion against Midrash heroes, even against the Mirror Match really, when they go for a Rampage or a Panzer Dragon or something like that, you can use Defusion and return it to the extra deck. 2 MST, pretty much staple to get rid of the Floodgates, and 3 Diamond Dust. This card's really effective against Mermails and Necros as well if you happen to run into it, but it's mostly for Mermails. because they get that new card, which I've got now. Here he is, this card, which is extremely good. It opens up 2 card OTKs for them, and this pretty much just says no. It wipes out the entire field of their turn and burns them. It's a fantastic card, and I'm running that free because it pretty much just wins that game against them if you get it off. And even if you don't, you still have cards like Mind Crush, which is really effective against them as well. Anyway guys, that's the deck profile. I hope you enjoyed it, and this is Eruption signing out, and have fun playing this deck on DN or in real life. And yeah, so signing out, have a nice day.